I made a latte today, 1000% inspired by Good Coffee, Great Coffee. I've read a couple books lately, and today I wanted to talk about them. I've read 10 books since the last time I gave a what I've read lately update. There's a pretty good mix between romance, fantasy, some dark reads, and some contemporary fiction. Some were 5 stars. Some were not anywhere close to 5 stars, actually. But before we get into it, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any future book content like this. Because I do have 10 books to talk about and I don't want this video to be like an hour long, I'm gonna try to get through these pretty quickly. Speed round, if you will. We're gonna start off pretty strong with Deep End by Hazelwood. This book released in February and I read it basically immediately. As soon as it came in, I picked it up and I really enjoyed it. If you've seen any of my content lately, then you already know that. I really, really like this book. I absolutely ate it up, and I did rate it 5 stars. If you've read any of Hazelwood's books before, then you know that she likes to write STEM romances, but this one was actually her first time writing a college sports romance. There was still STEM involved. Both of the 2 main characters are in medical. They're pre-med. They're science-y. They end up working in a lab together. That's about all I know about the whole science stuff. The male main character is a swimmer. The female main character is a diver. This one had such good banter. The romance. Guys, I ate this up. Then again, Hazelwood books are always a hit for me, so I'm not surprised. If you also love her typical dynamic of a smart, driven female main character and a more golden retriever, cinnamon bun male main character, then I think you'll also really enjoy this. There is a lot of spice, so keep that in mind. But yeah, I gave this one 5 stars. No surprise there. I love it. The next book I read is Bonded by Thorns by Helen. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it's also a Why Choose romance. If you're into fae, curses, multiple love interests, then this has all the ingredients to be the perfect guilty pleasure read. Did it have the deepest plot? No. Was it a good time? Absolutely. I ended up rating this one 3 stars. Not my favorite book ever, but again, I had a good time. If you want to know more about this book or want to know more of my thoughts, definitely check out my 24-hour reading challenge that I posted this past month. I deep dive in that video, so check it out over there. Keeping with the romantasy theme, the next book I read was To Carve a Fae Heart by Tessonja Odette. It's actually book 1 in the Fair Isle trilogy. I read it on my Kindle, but I have the trilogy, like all 3 books here in physical copy. This book was the perfect mix between A Court of Thorns and Roses and The Cruel Prince. So if you liked both of those books, I think you would also really enjoy this book. At the end of the day, this is about a deadly fae prince, a fae king, and a human girl that ends up being forced into a marriage and also a competition that she really didn't want to compete in. It definitely had a fun, whimsical vibe. There were some twists, there were some turns, and if you love a fairy tale style fantasy romance, then you should definitely check this one out. I did end up rating this one 4 stars, honestly, maybe even 4.5. Again, I read this one during the 24-hour reading challenge, so if you want to see more about this book or hear more of my thoughts, definitely check out that video. Switching gears completely, the next book I read was Beartown by Fredrik. This book, I've had this on my shelf for such a long time, and I finally got into it, and holy moly, it did not disappoint. This book is a pretty heavy contemporary fiction, I think. I don't know, genres are weird. This is a fiction book. It dives into life in a small town, its hockey culture, and all of the dark secrets that come along with both of those 2 things. If you're looking for something that's emotional, character-driven, thought-provoking, I would highly recommend picking this book up. Just be prepared to feel all of the feelings. Guaranteed. Again, if you've been following along with me at all, then you also probably know that this one got a 5 stars and I loved it. Time for a little guilty pleasure. I'm not gonna lie. Book number 5 was Seraphina Bryce, Omega Unleashed by Elizabeth Dear. This was a wild ride, to say the least. This book, I think, also released in February. I believe. This is an Omegaverse romance with a strong, independent lead female main character. She is an Omega, but she absolutely does not want to be an Omega, and she doesn't care about anyone's feelings, especially her family's, about her being an Omega. If you like Omegaverse and you like a high stakes supernatural drama, I would recommend this series overall. This is book number 3, but definitely check out the entire series by Elizabeth Dear. This also has such a good found family trope situation vibe. I don't even know. It was really good. I did end up rating this one 4.5 stars, but again, if you are into Omegaverse, I highly recommend this series. It is a 5-star series. Definitely a guilty pleasure, but check them out if you're interested. Next, I listened to Lights Out by Navessa Allen. I listened to this one on Spotify, and the audiobook is Chef's Kiss. So good. This is a dark romance, and I did read it as part of my only reading dark romance video, so check that out if you want to hear more in-depth thoughts, feelings, and also a summary of the book. But this is a dark romance, but it's also kind of like rom-com-y. I laughed a lot. I don't know why I was doing this again, but I guess the comedy was also Chef's Kiss. But yeah, it was dark without being too dark. It was funny without taking away from the seriousness of the story, and the romance was pretty good. Definitely very spicy. I did end up rating this one 4 stars. It was borderline 5 stars, but I just don't think I'm obsessed with the dark romance genre, so it's hard to rate it a 5 stars when I don't really like the genre to begin with. Next, I read Wretched by Emily McIntire. Again, this is part of the dark romance reading vlog, so if you haven't seen that, check it out. I'll go more in depth there and give my full review there, but this was kind of a miss for me. This is a very dark romance, definitely villain inspired. This is book number 3 in the Never After series. They're not even interconnected. They're just standalones. It's just a standalone series. This one is a Wizard of Oz retelling, but again, take that loosely. Basically, she only uses like names from the Wizard of Oz in the story, which I guess is good because I don't think I would like a dark version of the Wizard of Oz to live rent-free in my brain. So this was probably for the best. If you like a dark romance where the heroine is just as dark and twisted and dangerous as the male main character, then I think you'll really enjoy the story. I personally just thought it was too dark. I did end up rating this book 3 stars. It wasn't horrible, but like I said, it was too dark for me. And yeah, I think if you like dark romance, you probably would enjoy this, but not my cup of tea. The last book that I read in my only reading dark romance reading vlog was Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. This book is dark, and I mean dark. Wow. You know, when you think dark romance, you think this book. So it was good that I read it, but also I think it really solidified for me that this is not the genre for me. I didn't love it. I ended up rating this book 2 stars. Honestly, kind of want to go back and rate it 1.5 stars, but we'll leave it at 2. This is a gothic cat and mouse romance with a stalker love interest. So if that sounds interesting to you or that's your kind of thing, definitely check this book out. I'm sure you would really enjoy it. Again, just not for me. My biggest problem was that I didn't like what the male main character was doing, / like how he was treating the female main character. And if you don't like the male love interest in a romance novel, you're just not gonna like the book. And that's kind of what happened with me. But also, it was just dark. It was hard to read. I have so many thoughts about this. Not very many of my thoughts are good, but again, check out my dark romance reading vlog if you want to hear more about that. Also, definitely check the trigger warnings before jumping into this book because there's a lot going on. Anyway, 2 stars, maybe 1.5. It wasn't my thing, but I can understand why people might like it, and I'm not yucking anyone's yum if this was your thing. It just was not for me. After some pretty intense reads that were definitely outside my comfort zone, I went ahead and I picked up the Bookshop and the Barbarian by Morgan Stang. Yeah, this is a cozy fantasy. It's pretty small. It was very quick, very fast-paced. But one thing that I didn't love about it is it breaks the fourth wall constantly. Pretty much throughout the entire thing is the author breaking the fourth wall. So if you enjoy that, that I'm sure you would like this. I, however, did not enjoy that, but it still was pretty perfect for what I was looking for post my dark romance era. And yeah, it is very cozy. It's very cute. It's very whimsical. It's pretty silly overall. This is about a bookseller who just wants a quiet life, but of course needs help from a barbarian to help protect her and keep the bookshop running. This one definitely gives Legends and Lattes vibes if you've read that book, but with less adventure potentially. Overall, I did rate this one 2 stars. It's just the fourth wall breaking is not something I could get over. It was a good story, so if you are looking for a cozy fantasy, I would recommend, and you're okay with the fourth wall breaking, then definitely pick this one up. Finally, the latest book that I finished reading was Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is book number 2 in the Caraval series. I did really enjoy how this book expanded on the Caraval universe, the magic. We learned a lot more about just overall what the heck is going on in this book. I also really enjoyed hearing more from Tella's perspective, the second sister. I think I might like her better than her older sister, Scarlet, who was the female main character of the first book. I don't know whose perspective we follow in the third book, which is obviously what I would need to read next. There's a little bit of magic, a little bit of mystery, a little bit of romance, and honestly, I would say it was a good time overall. I did end up rating this one 3.5 stars, maybe 4. Let's go with 3.75. Not the best book. I think I just don't really dig her writing. It's not for me, I would say, but I am committed to the storyline and this plot, so I do see myself finishing the series eventually. I do also own the third book, so why not? Also, I really want to read her Once Upon a Broken Heart series, which I guess comes after this chronologically, so I will finish the series to get to that series because I've heard so many good things about that series, and how many times can I say series? Whew. Yeah, I'm not obsessed, but I am committed, so we will continue on eventually. And just like that, that's everything that I've read lately. I am currently reading Heavenly Bodies by Amani Iru, and I think I'm only 100 pages in. I'm really enjoying it, and I just want to ignore all of my responsibilities and read that book. So definitely keep a lookout for a future review on that. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, or Goodreads. That's probably where I will talk about that book first. So if you want to know my thoughts and feelings, definitely follow me there. Link in the description. Also, if you made it to the end and you didn't subscribe, what the heck are you doing? Subscribe. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!